all the stuff we've been learning from Russell and Myron and Alex Mosey and whatnot, like all of it's fulfilled in Isagenix. I'm like, okay, so let's just keep using this. And really the thing that I like doing is I like teaching people how to teach. I like influencing leaders and showing them how to influence their sphere. And also when it comes to like traffic and network marketing incentivizes everyone to invite people, so you always have an audience. We had an audience of like 50 to 80 people every month that we would do health meetings in Fresno, and they're non-Adventist.
Yeah.
They're not part of our faith. So by doing health meetings publicly, it really opened the doors to share. And what I like is that the audience is always there. You'll never be short of an audience as long as you follow the principles of duplication and empowering people to invite. And I'm like, that system is so good with the referrals and everything. And the skills I learned about referral marketing is what I'm doing with Dr. Sharps and their referrals, and with Alpha and those referrals and getting more clients in the accelerator. Melanie is a result of referral. It's using our network, Alpha, and their network to market our accelerator. So all the skills, they help with every business model. And I'm like, man, this is so powerful.
So I looked at it since July, since I started. It's around $360.
Yeah, that makes sense. $360. That is awesome. Way to go.
So, yeah, that's really good. My question is, so for the reason that you're refocusing on or tying in Isagenix for your business, just out of curiosity, is it because it teaches your students and whatnot the principles that you're trying to teach and gives them the way to achieve it or something?
Yes. And like all the marketing principles that I've been teaching is it gives a vehicle. Like one of the breakthroughs that I had, the reason why I started the squads is because John Maxwell, I was listening to John Maxwell and he was talking about how to develop leaders, right? And I got fully sold on leadership, developing leaders, training leaders. I realized that the number one skill that I'm dedicating my life to, that I think is the single most valuable skill I could possibly learn, is the ability to influence, which all leadership is influence people's decisions. Because with influence, there's no limit to what we can leverage. There's no limit to what we can do. And it's through our influence that we lead people to Christ. So I'm like, all right, I'm all in on leadership. But then John said something that was really profound and it shifted my world. So I started this leadership table. He said, you need to have a table where you gather leaders together, that you're on this leadership journey together. And he kind of described a mastermind, but he described like this leadership table that you want to invite developing leaders to the table so they can learn the skills and grow with you. And I'm like, okay, so I started a leadership table, which was every week we taught and learned about leadership together and we grew as leaders. But as we continue to learn, I learned on John Maxwell, he also said another nugget that is like, in order for you to have a level 5 leader, you need to be able to provide them they need to have a vehicle for them to develop their leadership, to express their leadership, have a vehicle of where they can duplicate and grow and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, I'm like, I don't have a vehicle for developing leaders. I'm not even promoting a vehicle. It's like I was talking to your husband about business. It's like, you don't want to just teach business principles. You don't want to just tell people start a business. You want to have a very specific vehicle that you are showing, like, yeah, there's a million different business ideas, but be specific on the vehicle that you can take people to. Because that's part of your niche. That's part of your value. That's solving that one problem 1,000 times. Like when you can make your vehicle, and I was talking to him about like create affiliates for your coaching program if that's what you want to do. Like if you're going to teach people about business, then have them sell your products. But so the reason why is because you give them a very specific vehicle, and I realized I didn't do that. So then I'm like, let's create squads, these small group Bible readings that will have one leader mentoring another leader, and the goal is to split and divide. So it's an infinitely scalable group, like a leadership development strategy and vehicle. So we did that, and we were developing leaders, and people split, and then they became leaders of others, of 2 squads, and then they're leaders of 3 squads, and we're creating generations of leaders. And I realized that that's very valuable. But then I realized too that although it's beneficial, it's still not really profitable, and you still got to be able to pay the bills to be able to keep the stuff going. And and originally we wanted to use that to be able to bring people to our How to Study the Bible course, and it wasn't really working. So we scratched that. But I use the same skills of Isagenix to grow the squads. I use the same skills of Isagenix to grow the church. And then I realized, okay, so with this, we're teaching people about the business skills. And I had a conversation with Rollin Vanetta, that is his first name. So I had a conversation with Rollin, and he's like, I don't know of any better vehicle that teaches non-entrepreneurs how to become entrepreneurs than network marketing. And he said that, and it really clicked. And he helped me to realize, I'm like, I have 10,000 clients right now. He's like, let's partner, let's do something. Because he teaches health and weight loss and plant-based diets, and he does it through coaching courses and his challenge. He sells, like, from the challenge, like a $1,500, or it was like a $3,500 course or something. So he sells that, but he's like, I'm itching to teach marketing stuff. He's a genius when it comes to like selling health and health marketing. And he's like, let's partner together, let's do something. And he's like, why, if you have 10,000 clients in network marketing, like, why don't you teach them the health marketing stuff? Why go out and like share with other health coaches and people? You could just teach these people how to do the marketing. And he's like, I know of, what's great is like network marketing has a way of taking non-entrepreneurs, like employee minds, and becoming entrepreneurs. And I was like, that's so true. And I realized that's a struggle that many health educators have, is that employee mindset and the entrepreneur mindset, the entrepreneur skill set of generating leads, networking on purpose, learning how to sell and persuade. And like, those are the skills that pay the bills. And I'm like, it's a steep learning curve to try to get product market fit, to delegate, like develop a team, because now you got to pay the people to join the team or learn the leadership skills to go like have duplicate, or like have them like do work for you, create slides, to build websites, to do stuff. And then you got to like do the marketing and the product development. You got to there's so much more pieces of starting a business from scratch in other business models, even coaching and courses and stuff. There's a lot of different skills that are completely outsourced by Isagenix. When you're able to let Isagenix cover the payroll, the delegation, the systems, the duplication, the messaging, and like the product fulfillment and delivery. And there's a lot of like, so I'm just thinking, if we can ease and simplify, if we can simplify the process, and if someone has products like Alpha and Shintoya already, then like let them use those products. We'll teach them how to sell those. But if they don't have products, like every health educator can absolutely benefit from having products that they include with their book, their supplements, and their courses and speaking. Like, that's going to be amazing. So within just a few seconds of signing up, they could literally have great products, recommend them, get paid great amounts, and have all the systems and access and outsource and leverage that's attached to their business. So I was like, that just makes so much sense. So like Tess doesn't have products, but she learned about some products. But like the way that Mayman Wilson teaches people to build products is he shows you how to make tinctures, how to make like these supplements, but you're like making them from scratch. You're doing them in your van, you're doing them in your car. You got to ship the fulfillment, and like you could white label them, meaning you could put your own branding and stuff on it. But it's, again, you're doing all the fulfillment. You're doing physical distribution. And that gets tiring. And Alpha and Shintoya, they invited someone onto our challenge, and he was like, my biggest problem right now is I have too many people trying to buy my supplements, and I've got to keep track of them, the order, the inventory, make sure they're created, ship them out. And it's overwhelming him. He's stressing them out. And I'm like, that's what happens when you sell your own physical products. But if you I realize for me, I'm not put on this earth to go create tinctures in a lab and go ship them out and go to the post office every day fulfilling orders. That's not my purpose in life. And I love how Dave MacArthur teaches. He quotes Paul Zane Pilzer, who was like a global economist. He won a Nobel Prize with the economy. And he said that the millionaires of the future are not going to be made from a physical distribution of products. Physical distribution, like actually shipping out. They're going to be made from an intellectual distribution. You're sharing ideas, you're sharing messages. And that's really what we do. We teach people a signature speech, and we teach like about health and toxins and wellness and how the body works. We teach our health message, and then we outsource to like the company, just like they would buy on Amazon, they just buy through the website. They create a wholesale account, and then the company physically distributes it, and we get paid in commissions. Intellectual distribution is the business of, not the future, the business of the present. This is where wealth is created. And truly, and Paul Zane Pilzer predicted, this was years ago, that there would be more millionaires in this generation than there ever was in any previous generation. And that's exactly been fulfilled through his prediction. That's exactly what's happening. And people are doing it through intellectual distribution. So I'm thinking like, if I want to do a t-shirt company, I've looked into how to get a t-shirt press and silk screening and like putting those things in there. And I've done it before, but that's physical distribution. When I was doing a printing company, I was, I had the printing press. Your husband and I, we connected on this point, and I had this big printer. It was huge. And I believe it was a Konica Minolta, because that's what your husband recommended. And we printed thousands of copies of physical books. We had shelves filled with books, and we were shipping them out to people. And we were doing all this physical distribution. But I'm like, why do the physical distribution when I could just publish my book on Amazon and let them handle that? I just focus on my message. That's what I'm called for. And I don't have to spend hours and hours and hours handling everything that has to do with the physical printing of it. Let Amazon do that. And then that was a big breakthrough. And where a lot of these millionaires are being created is they're partnering with companies that handle the stuff where they could do what they do best and then let the companies do what the companies do best. And just the more that I thought about it, the more that I realized. Also, I listened to Alex Hormozy, and he was teaching, instead of teaching people, this is what you should do, teach them this is what I did. And instead of teaching, how to, teach how I. And when you come from a place of experience, and you're teaching those things, you're going to resonate more. He's like, I grew, 3 million subscribers in 1 year, his first year on social media, and he's explaining why. And something about that talk just clicked in my mind, that everything I've been teaching about marketing and health marketing are things that I did within Isagenix. I did it selling from stage, Isagenix, partnering, strategic partnerships, Isagenix, signature speech, had it on Isagenix, across the board, all these things, generating leads, sales, leadership, development, recruiting people, all these things are skills I already have. And so it unlocked this whole realm. I'm why deviate so far from the very thing that taught me how to grow? And I know that it works so well. And I think that they could just combine good with other people's businesses. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, and then instead of looking at it as, I would say in the beginning, it's okay for your first product to be other people's products and sell the supplements, and then expand to creating your own course. Make it your goal, teach these story selling videos, get really comfortable recording content and selling stuff. And then when you have all this health knowledge from selling other people's products, then create a course on cleansing and support your team, your actual clients that are paying you, that you're getting paid for every month. Go create a course for them, and you already have a list of buyers. Collect people's emails. Today, as you're selling the supplements, collect their emails. That's how you can make them your customer before you make them the company's customer. Find ways that you're able to collect the emails for them, or you could take the videos and you could have simple opt-ins. You can use Gumroad at the beginning. You're just like, hey, comment this link. Like, I just recorded a video about, and you can take one of the hooks, put it behind a Gumroad opt-in and let them opt in, and then they get access to the video. You can create these like lead magnets based on the videos, the story selling videos that you're doing, and then you're building your list that way. And that list is going to be extremely valuable. So no matter what, I believe Isagenix is a solid company that will be a legacy company. It will be here. It's something that you could you can will to your children. But let's say they do something different, which every time they upgrade, they literally upgrade. They only get better in what I've seen. But let's say they get worse. As long as you have your email list, like, it doesn't matter what the company does. You're able to keep going and just keep adding to your wheel of wealth. So now you've got like your speech, and Tess realizes too that she's looking for speakers. You've got interviews, and then you've got content, and then when you're creating content on social media, you're building another asset that's not dependent on Isagenix. You're building an audience, and that audience is what Alex Hormozi says, the most valuable thing about your content is not the content. It's the audience that you build from the content. That's an asset. So you're just creating these wheels, like this hub where everything's like coming together in that area, and it's creating like this ecosystem of products. But it doesn't have to happen overnight. And I think that if you can leverage stuff and stories, and it's just going to work better starting with the supplements first.
When you're doing the supplements first, you're not collecting emails as yet then?
You can. You can by creating like these videos. You can take one of those videos and invite, like if you find one of the story selling videos that works really well and generates like interest, you can take that video, put it on Gumroad, and you can create a post and say, hey, I just recorded a video of what to do if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like comment if you like access, and then they comment, I'm interested, and then before they get to that video, again, you're like selling the thing that sells the thing, and that speech sells the supplement. So in order to get access to this content, they have to like give you your email. It's like, great, tell me where to send it. And then you opt them in, and they get access to that video, watch it, and they're like, oh, hey, I want to invite you to the webinar. So then they're like, yeah, I want that too. So that's basically how Myron Golden taught me to do it. It was kind of funny. He was saying that you create a piece of content that you don't tell them what the product is. You just say, like, a bunch of testimonies, and you can literally sell like arthritis thing. You could say things that are not Isagenix compliant. You can say things that are, you talk about all sorts of stuff. Just don't mention the name of Isagenix. So you could say, like he said, you have a video on arthritis. This thing's about to die. And there's not a charger over here. If someone could help with that. So he's like, let's say you're doing a video on like how to heal arthritis. And he says, sell it on eBay. Like you can literally sell this video, the content that I'm teaching you. And the video has for like $5, $5, $10, $9. And it's all about testimonies of people who had arthritis and joint pain, and they're like, I got on the product, and this person got on the product. Or you could just like share these experiences, and it's like this powerful, like people are like, I want to know what that is. It's exciting, and they're like, let me know. And at the end it says, if you want to know how you can get started on these products, then it's either a call to a phone call, or it's a call to join the webinar. And by then, they've already been your customer. You sold like a $9 invitation to a webinar. And they're glad they paid, and then they extend, and they go to the webinar, and then they buy the supplements. So now they're your lead, they're your customer, and whether you want to sell it for $9 or sell it in exchange for an email, you can still do that while you're selling the supplements. Does that make sense?
Yes. It does make sense. I just, whenever you're talking about it, how to do the stuff, I guess I just kind of think too much about how you actually do it, because it doesn't quite like register how I could do that, but I see how it works, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
So I gave an example, like, or let's say what you've already done. You took why diets don't work, and what to do instead. You have that video. Let's say you upload that video to Gumroad, and they can get it in exchange for an email, right?
Okay, and you set that all up in Gumroad.
Yeah, you set it up in Gumroad.
Okay.
And right now, it's on Facebook, and that's fine. But Facebook has a way of burying content, and it doesn't matter if it's free. People will gladly get access to hard to find content that may be posted somewhere else, but you're just guiding their focus to this funnel. They don't even know that stuff exists. So you can now post like a week from now, or let's say for the next 3 months, you're like, hey, I just recorded a video on why diets don't work and what to do instead. I recorded a video on how diets are keeping people fat. Who wants access? Type me in the comments and saying me. And then you respond to them, and you're like, here's a link to Gumroad.
In their personal messenger, you respond to them?
Yes, in the personal message, you respond to them, and then you send them a link to Gumroad.
You send them a link to Gumroad, okay.
Yeah, and they opt in to get access to Why Diets Don't Work video.
Okay, and so when you say they opt in, that's where they give their email, and then it becomes available to them.
Yep, and exactly.
And it's like free.
It's a free, correct. It's a lead magnet. And now they're on your list before they're on the company's list.
Okay. I'm happy.
Yeah, and that's how we've done it. So we're doing that with the webinar, where we put the webinar there, and then they opt in to the webinar. So now they're becoming on our list before they're becoming to the company's list. And if you put an opt-in just before the webinar, now they're becoming your list before they become the company's list. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How do you do that?
With Gumroad. Gumroad is the opt-in. That's a lead magnet. And you've already done it with your book.
Right. So what I'm saying is, like, for the webinar, then you send them a link to Gumroad where they put in their email, and then you give them the link to the webinar? Like that?
Kind of. But keep in mind, they've already opted in. Before they hear anything about your webinar, they've now heard about this content, Why Diets Don't Work. So they had to opt in to get access to Why Diets Don't Work. At the end of your Gumroad Why Diets Don't Work video, that's when they hear about the webinar. So they're already on your list.
I see. And then they hear about the webinar at the end of the video, and then
they opt into the webinar.
They opt into the webinar.
And then in the webinar, they hear about the supplements, and then you get paid.
I think you lost me at they see the video, and then at the end of the video is the link to the webinar or something?
Yeah, at the end of the video is a link to the webinar.
And then they go and they hit the link and they go to the webinar Thursday at 5, and then they listen to it.
Yep.
And then
they buy the supplements.
If they're interested, what happens next? They contact me.
Yes. You go to a call or a three-way call with you and your mentors or someone else, or you just say, hey, these are the 6 pieces of information we need to get you started, and we need your name, your number, what kind of, like, you want strawberry, vanilla, and your billing information, so your card information, and then you just create them an account. And when you create them an account, go ahead.
So more than likely they say they're interested they text you on Messenger, I really like the webinar. And then you say, what's your phone number so we can talk?
Well, I mean, you can call them. I called Tess on Messenger right after the webinar. And some of the people, you already have their phone numbers. Other people, like, we had Donnie, the colporteur, right? He was in the webinar. Shanice invited him. He's like, I want the products. How do I get in? I'm interested. I'm ready. And then you just call them up. So a lot of times we don't wait for them to text. As soon as the webinar is over, like, what we're doing the next hour is we're closing. We're, like, signing people up. We are, like, finding the concerns and addressing them, or just signing them up. So if we had a guest that attended, like Donnie shows, Shanicia called Donnie straight up and said, hey, Donnie, how's it going? What did you like best? And one of the skills of follow-up that we teach on Sunday at 12 by Eric Worre's Go Pro book, it teaches you exactly what to say on the follow-up call at the end of the webinar.
Oh, okay.
And we just
Gotcha.
follow that script and we sign them up. And I've been using that. That follow-up is where I learned the question, the 1 to 10 close. Like on a scale from 1 to 10, how ready are you to get started now? 10 being like, I'm interested, I'm in, I'm ready to buy right now. And 1 being like, no, not interested at all. And anything below a 7, like if they're like 7, 8, 9, 10, say, okay, great. Don't sell them. Don't tell them any stories. Just say, all right, there's 6 pieces of information that we need, and you just give it, and then sign them up right there. That's how you finish that call. Anything below a 7, like 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then you say, well, what would it take to get to a 10? They're like, well, like I was talking to Tess, and she's like, well, I need to know about the ingredients. I want to make sure that there's something that I would actually eat. I'm like, okay, great. And then in the follow-up script from GoPro, he says to ask if I would you. This is how you overcome every buying objection. I don't know about the ingredients. I said, okay, Tess, if I sent you the ingredients and they were ingredients you would eat, would you be ready to sign, like, would you be willing to take a look? And then she said, yeah, I would love to take a look. I'm like, okay, great. And I sent it to her over the phone because I went to isaproduct.com and they have the ingredients. I just took a screenshot and sent it over Messenger. And I said, okay, is that good? But I guess it was getting late, so she's like, I'll look at it in the morning. I was like, okay, so part of that follow-up was get a commitment, get a time commitment. So I'll look at it in the morning. I'm like, great. So then if I call you in the afternoon, you'll for sure have looked at the ingredients and made a decision. She's like, yeah. Then in the next morning, she actually called me up and she's like, hey, I look at the ingredients. I'm ready to get started Tuesday, which is today. So I'm going to follow up with her today. She's like, I'm ready to get started this Tuesday. And I'm like, is that because you won't have the money until Tuesday? Or like, what would stop you from getting started right now? And she's like, I won't have the money until Tuesday. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well then, and I'm like, are you still wanting to come to the workathon on Monday? And she said, yes, I'm super excited about the workathon on Monday, about learning how to teach. Actually, when she called at the end of that speech, like Katharina's speech, first words out of her mouth, she's like, can you teach me to sell like her? I want to learn to speak like that. And I was like, yeah, we can teach you how to sell like that. And that's actually what the workathon on Monday is about. And she's like, I'm going to be there. So she is like over the top excited to learn how to do this speech stuff that you're doing right now. She is so excited to do that. And she sees a vision. So like that's kind of what the follow-up looks like. And the goal is not to just sign them up for the first time. Like all sales, like it takes on average about like 8 exposures before someone buys. And that's selling anything. And that's why like I realized in coaching and selling courses and information online, a lot of people like they don't follow up with the buyers who are ready to buy. So what we're going to do is we're going to help people to follow up with their buyers. And when they follow up with the buyers, we're actually like learning the skills that it doesn't matter what business you're in. Like we need to learn how to follow up. The fortune is in the follow up. If we don't follow up, there's no fortune for them or us. Does that? But one thing I want you to really see is the script is in the GoPro chapters of that book. Mm-hmm. And we built our entire business on the back end of those principles.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that helpful?
Yeah, and so then just to clarify, they're interested, they get in a call with you, you get the 6 pieces of information, and then you personally sign them up on your Isagenix stuff.
Back office.
And so you get their credit card and all that stuff and do it for them like that?
Yep, that's what we do. We've signed up all the people in our back office. They do have a share card that you can send, but it's in some ways it's simpler, but really I think it's more complicated as far as like where to sign them up. We have and then we find it's a lot better. It's better to have that touch point of a call, because when you can sign them up, we sign them up on the phone. We get the 6 pieces of information. We're like, all right, let's place the order here. And it's like, we got it shipped to you. You're good to go. You're in. Congratulations. We create their username and password. We send it to them so that they have it, and then they're able to. How
do you send it to them?
Messenger.
Okay.
And when I joined, we had to get their social security number for every person who signed up. So when I got to Crystal Executive and signed up those 30 people, to get to Crystal Executive, all of them required a social security number. It was like right after I got to Executive, they upgraded their compensation plan where now everybody starts as a customer first, and then they have to upgrade to an associate. Where when I started, everyone started as an associate, whether they're just interested in the products or whatnot. So because they can all get paid, they need a social security. And people give it over the phone, people give it over text. And like a lot of times we are more concerned about like, oh, they don't want to give the credit card. No, they don't mind getting a credit card. The thing is, you have the posture of a professional. You're not there to take anything from them. You're there to gift them with an opportunity that they've already been looking for. Every high-ticket sales call, they take the credit card over the phone and they get the deposit over the phone. There are millions and millions of dollars and transactions that are taking place with credit cards being transferred over the phone. It's very normal to do that. And when it's normal in your mind, you come up, you're like, okay, the way that we handle this, you want the product, I just need 6 pieces of information. Where's it going to be shipped to? What's your name? What's a card that we're going to charge? Is the billing name the same as the name that you had? I want the exact spelling. What is the shipping the same as the billing? And they just give it to you over the phone because you have the posture of a professional.
I gotcha. And when you do it on the, so I've never really signed up anyone. I mean, I did something for my mom, but it automatically is your customer when you sign them up.
Correct. Yeah, because
there's not a specific spot you have to put it or something.
Well, yes and no. What we do is we log into our back office. You have your placement tree, which, by the way, if you haven't logged in for a while, you go to your placement tree, you've got a lot of people under you, and you could be banking volume as long as you have a qualified order, but there's constantly new people purchasing, and you're losing a lot of volume every day that people are signing up, and that volume turns into money. But you have all of that, and you get paid the same amount whether you sign them up or someone else signs them up. So
right. Well, you have to have 2 people that are on either side of the tree, right? That are getting the volume or whatever.
Well, you need 2 people in order to turn the volume into cash, but you can bank the volume indefinitely. Like Barbara was a happy paying customer that she was just...
Yeah, I remember that story.
Yeah. So,
because I had been building up all this volume and stuff, and then I just didn't have any money anymore. Just spent on it. And I was really sad, but I didn't know what to do about it.
So what we're going to do about it differently this time is we're going to work with you to follow the system, like your who do you know list and inviting the people. Inviting the 2 people it won't be difficult when you allow yourself, or now you're in a position where you're like, look, I either make this work and prioritize figuring this out, or I'm going to get a job, and you really don't want to get that job. So as long as you have a different level of priority and focus now, that is, and more support too, because we've got systems in place to make sure that you're doing it. Some of those workathons on Monday will be inviting your list, helping you to know how to have conversations with people. And another thing that we're going to do is afterwards, after the webinar, we decided this last Thursday, we're going to switch to an associate hangout down further in the Discord server. And that's where we're going to do a lot of the follow-up. And if there's concerns, we'll be able to ask questions. And when we need to take a call, we'll just deafen ourselves on Discord, go take the call, and then we'll come back and say, hey, they signed up, we all celebrate. Or hey, there's this question, what do I do now? And that's where we're helping each other to sign people up after they follow up with the guests after the webinar.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll be able to help walk you through. We actually have a video that shows how to sign someone up too. You log into the back office and you find the bottom right position. You click that empty spot and you say enroll or sponsor a new person in this spot, and then you can sign them up there.
Okay. Do you always sign up on the right for the first person?
No, I just sign them up wherever the volume is needed. So right now, you have more activity on your right because you have all those people who are buying. And so you do need a qualified person on the right, qualified person on the left. But So like if you enroll, like if I were in your situation, I'd enroll most, after that you have a qualified, faithful, like consistent buyer on the right, enroll everyone on the left, and every time you get 300 cycles, 300 volume, you're going to cycle, and that's $54. Like that.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So those are great questions. And in fact, one of the things that we could, oh, and by the way, I was curious, how did it go when you were working with when you were helping us with the slides? I didn't really hear from you the last leg of the workshop when we were doing the inviting slides. I saw that you had the slides open this morning, but how much of that did you catch?
What you mean?
Remember when we were turning Eric Worre's book into slides for the Sunday 12 talk?
Oh yeah, nothing, because
You had to go?
you guys said my face was frozen, remember?
Oh, okay.
And then I turned my camera off, and then you guys all froze.
Oh,
So then I kept trying to like turn off Discord, turn it back on,
wow.
and it just would just have the thinking wheel, and I could never get you guys to come back on there. So then you had chatted to me to go to the slides, and I just clicked through all the slides, but there was nobody talking or nothing.
Mm.
So I just looked through them, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I wish I could hear what they're saying about it."
Oh, okay. Well, the last thing that we did was that, and I think that if you joined us for that exercise, we'd be able to, you'd be able to learn skills that will help you with creating Canvas slides, like the 5 talks that we just pulled out today.
Yeah, I really wanted to see about what you guys were saying about that.
So what if we transition to finishing that last slide? We want to finish it for the Sunday. So if we do that together, we can go back to creating them. And Katharina, I know you like to be in the studio. We can do it in the studio. We'll just go back to doing the workathon for the slides, and that'll be part of our workshop, is learning the Canva together the way we were doing before. Does that sound good?
She gave a thumbs up.
She gave a thumbs up. Cool. I'm going to turn off this
Sounds good.
microphone, Kamran, and we're going to use the Blue Yeti. So let's